One of their claims was defamation, which requires proof of damages. What did they say their damages were?
So the judge screwed us in that because he found everything was defamation per se, which means damages are presumed. So they didn't have to show any economic damages. So then they went on the idea of emotional damages and reputational harm. But they didn't have an expert show a number, so they just picked a number out of thin air.
Wow, the damages were just assumed. Wow, that's a nice way to do a defamation case. Obviously, there were damages. We all know it.
Well, the question is, it was their damages. Because, I mean, technically, you, as an officer, you've been called names before. The first officer that arrested a drunk at 2 o'clock in the morning has been called every name those officers was called.
Absolutely.
And they never sued them.
Right, absolutely. And listen, do not go into this job if you cannot be called names. Like, the academy should be 3 times longer than it is, and 1 6-month period should just be training them to take being called names. People are just going to call, especially the more serious crime you arrest them for, the more names they are going to call you to get you to go off and do something so they can get off. It is just textbook criminal behavior.
Well, you see, it just makes no sense to me because you sit there and take Lisa Phelps. You know, she's upset because her gender's called into question. If you can bust into a door, you know, with an assault rifle and go through a person's house, you probably have a bigger dick than half the people out there trying to ask you if you have one. Just tell them that and move on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just comes with the job. And, you know, this, in my opinion, a lot of this could have been avoided. All of it could have been avoided. Like, we could argue whether or not they should have done the search, and they should have obviously done investigation to make sure. But they could have searched and said, oh, shit, this was all bullshit. There's no evidence any of this was true. We're sorry this happened. And the county could have a reimbursement fund where they just, because Chicago does that, by the way. They pay for doors. Even if you're guilty, they pay for your door. Just pay for it. Right? It was completely wrong, and just apologized and owned up like an adult.
Well, and that's what doesn't make any sense. I mean, my thought would be the minute that you didn't find the basement, you didn't find any cages, you knew it was bullshit. And you should have stopped right there. Because ultimately, as you're executing that search, you are actually testing the veracity of what you saw. And if you're halfway through and you're like, hey, we've searched this place, there's no one home, there is no basement, there's no cages, there's no kidnap victims, why would you keep searching? Why would you go through CDs? What in the world were you looking for?
No, and that's the drug war mentality, right? Because they're going to get something on him at that point. Instead of their supervisor, whoever was in charge, said, hey, we're all clear. There's no basement. There's nothing there's no evidence of anything she said being true. No, we're out. Let's go. Let's contact the owner. This is obviously wrong. It's our fault. Let's just deal with this. But that's what should have happened. It could have saved us. It could have saved the county a boatload of money and all this time and all this embarrassment.
Well, it's almost as if we moved from the idea of innocent until proven guilty to now you're guilty until you prove your innocence, which is not the way it should be going.
Yes, and when we're both a couple of white guys. When black people see that, they're like, "Oh, this is just what we've experienced throughout our time in the U.S. Right? This is just what they do." Right? And because raiding his house wasn't bad enough, you had to completely disrespect him in the way you did it, and the fact that you went through every possible thing, and you couldn't count to 50, whatever, you couldn't count up to 5,000, right? Like, everything was wrong, and it was all wrong on your end. Just own up to it, move on.
Yeah, well, that's why I had a lot of respect for Justin Cooley when he testified, because he told us exactly how you catalog money, almost by the textbook. And, you know, he's like, you separate it into piles of fives, tens, ones, and you have this many $5 bills, this many 10, and it's just simple multiplication. You can multiply on the bag and know exactly if you've done it right or not. And it's like, none of that was followed, and it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Thanks for staying with us to the end. If you believe in this work, like this video and subscribe to help us amplify our message. And if you want to be part of the change, check out the links below to support or get involved.